Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to Madam and everyone. My name is Maslani Nasuha binti Muhammad Jasni and today my group will be presenting on the second case study of Malaysia economy and COVID-19. The COVID-19 disease outbreak has grown into a healthcare, social and economic and societal crisis of unparalleled magnitude and effect. The condition in Malaysia is exacerbated by the fact that perhaps the government comes in action only in early March 2020 and is experiencing a severe debt crisis, critical evaluation, plunging price of oil and blow impact on trade and tourism from the global economic downturn. On the disease outbreak front from the state, the government has gained worldwide recognition for its initiative in monitoring, disease surveillance, containment and medication while maintaining first victim health and getting proper advice and information to the public. On the economic front, the isolation is changing into an economic drift. The economy is struggling with growing harmful effect on the employment, wages, life and families and affecting economies and industries and alleviating inequality, deprivation and difficulties. Notably, many of the most is the poor. However, the government have made a possible a variety of economic stimulus initiatives aimed at preserving the well-being of the people, supporting businesses and strengthening the economy by introducing the Prihatin Rakyat, which is Caring for People program on the March 2020. Which the Prime Minister stressed out that no one will be left behind. The program integrated policies which include stimulating economic development, attracting foreign investment and increasing companies to incorporate automation and digitalization of their operation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatin Najwa binti Nur Azmi. Now I want to explain the effect of stimulation handout provided by the government during the MCO. So, effect of stimulation handout provided by the government during the MCO is for employment. So, view from the definition of unemployment itself, it refers to the sedentary unemployed and the active unemployed people, where these two types of unemployment refer to those without employment but are interested in working. So, based on the statistic found in the official portal of the Department of Statistics Malaysia, which refer to the key of labour force in Malaysia August 2020, the average unemployment is increasing as a result of some working lost their job because employer cannot afford to pay workers. So, moreover, is seen in July 2020, unemployment is 745.1 thousand people. But since the government has given the various initiatives against Malaysia, unemployment declined and became 741.6 thousand in August 2020. Hence, through the positive change arising from the statistics mentioned above, this can be concluded that the impact of this decline in unemployment occurred after the government has done all sorts of effort to increase and stabilize the labour market as a result of this COVID-19 effect. So thus among the novel effort made was the government had agreed to utilize 10.38 billion under the wage subsidy program for the use of 2.62 million employees and subsidy and 440 employees on 28 August 2020. So at the same time, the government held hiring incentive and training program to 24,616 people, including 177 people with disability and 2,880 apprentices. So, in addition, Fortunately, the government introduced several initiatives, such as the Wage Subsidy Program (WSP) between the 600 and 1,200 ringgit to encourage the employers to retain a workers earning 4,000 ringgit and below. So to reduce retrenched worker from continuing to increase drastically, of course, the workers who receive this unfortunate fortune will from the low income B40 and middle income category M40. So at the same time, in an effort to stabilize the Malaysian economy starting with labour force, Malaysia is also expressing challenge to raise the carbon effort. So besides it addressing the increasing issue of unemployment in the country, the government also organized the short-term economic recovery plan Penjana. This Penjana is a focus on social security for GIG worker, for example, and meanwhile the Global Online Workforce Program GLOW is one of the initiatives to increase a career opportunity for digital freelancers.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nuriza binti Anwar. I will continue these presentations on the second effect of stimulation handout. The second effect of stimulation handout is manufacturing sales growth. According to Well-Canton 2020, manufacturing is a process of turning raw material or part into an output by use of human labor, machinery, chemical processing, and tools. However, in the latest industrial relation in 19th century, most of the manufacturer are using the machinery as their mechanism to maximize the output and minimize the cost. In addition, the sales growth also can be defined as the amount of sales that derive from a company compared to the previous month or year, which make the latest sales are higher than before. As what you can see in your screen right now, there are the Malaysia's manufacturing sales recorded a growth of 3.7% in September 2020. In Malaysia, there are various types of manufacturer, such as the first one is food, beverages and tobacco. Second, electrical and electronic product. The third is textile, wearing apparel, leather and footwear. The fourth is wood, furniture, paper product and printing. The fifth is petroleum, chemical, rubber and plastic. The sixth is non-metallic metal product, basic metal and fabricated metal product. And the last one is transport equipment and other manufacturer. So those of the example of manufacturer is really contribute in ensuring the stability of Malaysian economy. Furthermore, the stimulation handout given by the government have a very positive effect in increasing the sales growth of some manufacturing sectors since the demand of the product are increasing during the COVID-19 pandemic. The stimulation have helped the consumer from every group such as B40, M40 and T20 to buy their needs and necessities at once. Right now, as you can see in the screen, there are three sectors that contributed to the sales growth. The first one is food, beverages and tobacco, electrical and electronic product, and the last one is transport equipment and other manufacturers. As for food, beverages and tobacco manufacturers, the sales have increased from 12.3% in August 2020 to 14.2% in September 2020 as year-on-year changes. This scenario happened since during the COVID-19 pandemic, there are Movement Control Order (MCO), Conditional Movement Control Order (CMCO), and Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO) that have been introduced by our government in ensuring the safeness of the public. Most of the time, the consumer are spending their time at home and they need to buy a lot of food and the necessities. Okay, next, the second one is electrical and electronic product. Electrical and electronic product manufacturers have recorded sales growth from 6.0% in August 2020 to 7.2% in September 2020 since the demand of the product are increasing. This can be proved when almost all of the companies and organizations are working from home and the students from primary school until university students are doing online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, the demand of electronic products such as smartphone, tablet, laptop, computers, and etc. are increasing month on month. Hence, here we can see that the stimulation handout provided by our government really have a positive effect on the manufacturer's sales and the consumer at once.
So, in conclusion, through the assistance given by the government during the MCO, there has been a lot of good impact not only on the worker and the assistant people, but also of positive impact on the current economic change. Although there is still an adverse effect in terms of economic to stabilize the affected economy at this time, the government effort in giving initiative to the affected citizens have given a way for the people to begin and appreciate the assistance given by the starting the career of the people not affected by starting online business, or in other words, is to use e-commerce concept. So as the situation is seen nowadays, the business is gaining attention, especially during this MCO, and it is not impossible to dominate the future employment sector.
Before we going further about moratorium, did you know what is moratorium? According to ADM 2020, moratorium can be defined as a temporary suspension of some rules and regulations until future consideration by the government, organization, businesses, or regulators. In other words, moratorium are imposed due to the temporary or short-term financial crisis. According to Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM), moratorium are known as a temporary relief measure that allow for deferment of loan repayment but that will lead to higher repayment amount. As in support, Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) have announced on 25 March 2020 that in order to manage the impact of COVID-19 pandemic toward individuals, small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and corporations, the number of regulatory and supervisory measures by the banking institutions. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Bank Negara Malaysia have introduced the loan deferment program to ease the loan borrowers. Deferment and restructuring of loan or financing facilities can be divided into two groups, which are loan or financing to individuals and SMEs, and loans or financing to corporation. So both of it is one for the individuals and SMEs, and the second is for the corporations. So both of this group have a different types of purpose and system use. Generally, moratorium can be applied by all SMEs and Malaysian citizens, and it will cover all of their loan that they have been made. Our Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin also have announced that starting from 1st April 2020, the small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and individual borrowers will have 6-month automatic loan moratorium. The automatic loan moratoriums means that the borrower does not to take any kind of procedure to apply it, since it will be automatically applied. However, if they insist or they prefer to pay the installment monthly as usual, they need to inform the bank first. This is one of the effort that introduced by our government to help in ease the public burden who are given pay cut, unemployed, closing down their businesses during COVID-19 pandemic. However, they need to pay the loan as usual after the end of the moratorium period. But if our government agrees to extend the moratorium period, then they can have more time to manage their financial and loan issues.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Putri Sraibanta Anasani. I will justify the reason on why we think that moratorium should be extended. In our opinion, moratorium should be extended because it can help to increase the gross domestic product GDP through the small and medium enterprises SMEs. In the case study, it is mentioned that the second quarter GDP has declined by 17.1% year-on-year, and it is the worst decline in Malaysian history, even surpassing the 11.2% decline in 1998 during the Asian financial crisis. As shown in the figure, in 2019, SMEs contributed 38.9% to the GDP compared to 38.3% in 2018. Not only that, the contribution of SMEs to total export in 2019 increased to 17.9% from 17.3% in 2018. This proved that SMEs should be able to contribute significantly to the GDP. Furthermore, most employment is in the SMEs, as seen in the second quarter of 2020, where 48.4% of employment is in SMEs. However, the emergence of COVID-19 has affected the economy of Malaysia. Prior to the announcement of moratorium, the government had announced the Movement Control Order MCO, which took effect on 18 March to 31st March 2020 and was extended a few times. Many restrictions were imposed, and they have proved to be quite effective in containing the spread of COVID-19. However, they have their own drawbacks against the Malaysian economy. During the MCO, non-essential business are not allowed to operate physically. Instead, they are advised by the government to work from home. In essential business, employers are ordered to reduce the number of employees working physically at their premises to ensure strict compliance of the Standard Operating Procedure SOP. However, this has affected the capacity of the business to operate, as there is temporary shortage of workforce in daily operation. Besides, many employers were hiring foreign workers prior to the pandemic. Therefore, when the government closed the Malaysian borders and forbid the entry of foreigners, many employers lost their workforce. On top of that, due to premises of non-essential business being closed, some businesses had decreasing revenue and increasing costs due to lack of resources. Therefore, some businesses had to retrench their employees in order to reduce their expenditure. Production constraint occurs as many business operations are closed for temporary or face bankruptcy during the MCO. This is the reason why the moratorium should be extended, as it is able to assist the SMEs in recovering from the impact of the pandemic by easing the pressure on their cash flow and helping them sustain their business operations. Recovering the SMEs would mean higher possibility of increasing the GDP. Next, Fatin Hanisa will justify the second reason.
Assalamualaikum, I am Nafartin Hanisah and I will be presenting for the second justification. We are very certain that moratorium shall be extended. This is because to allow continuous cash flow for individual and business. Many business of all sizes have to close business due to the coronavirus pandemic. However, it will be harder for small and medium-sized business as they do not have any emergency or spare cash. The shutdown has led to unemployment as many businesses cannot afford to pay for labor costs as the business do not run as usual. Until August 2020, unemployment in Malaysia is at 4.7%. Because of many people has lost their job, surely they will struggle financially. Even though they are willing to looking for other job, the opportunity is tight and very tension. For business, they will struggle to adapt with the new norm and still need more time to stable the business. The period of 6 months does not enough for some business and individual as the situation that they face is varies with other people and business. Some business might need short period time to rebuild the business, for example, the food and beverages business. But the other business such as business that related to tourism and hospitality, they still need more time to adjust their business situation with the current situation. Same goes to people who involved in tourism and hospitality sector, such as flight attendants. They're still looking available job after has been laid off from their job. Here, the extent of moratorium certainly can help them by providing them with more time and space to restructure and plan their financial management. Moreover, there are many newly unemployed starting to do their own business. By pausing the payment of debt will help the people to have more time to gain money from other sources and they will be able to focus on expanding their financial state. Same goes to business. As they are given more time, they can focusing on the replan of the business and have more time to finding the most suitable method to be implemented for the business as well as their customers. As the pandemic is very new for everyone, the time to be adapted is very different in every situation. Plus, Malaysia's economy are predicted to be grow slowly and assumed to have a positive economic growth in 2021. Since many businesses have started to reopen and once the economic activity begin again, there will be no more interaction of cash flow. And cash flow will be activity run as the supply and demand change will be at ease. This will easily help the people and the business to repay the loan that have been applied, which made moratorium have to be extended. That's all from me. Thank you.
Moratorium should be extended as it is a key factor that supporting private consumption as it slumped in the second quarter of 2020, and it also allowed the borrower to repay their loan slowly. The introduction of this moratorium can be seen help the people to access immediate cash and provide the opportunity to contribute to an increasing in consumption expenditure that needed in economic growth, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. The third quarter of 2020, private consumption has been slowly recovered during the CMCO as it seen a smaller decrease 2.1% compared with 18.5% in the second quarter of 2020. This private consumption included the essential items such as food and non-alcoholic beverage, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels, also communication. Based on quarter-on-quarter performance, private final consumption expenditure rise to 28.9% in the third quarter of 2020. Governor of Bank Negara Malaysia said that income growth is the most important factor in contributing of consumer spending. As the domestic economic activity has been resumed and demand of people have been increased, income of consumers should improve gradually and support the spending of the consumer. The moratorium extension will help the targeted groups such as B40 during this economic situation. This move will be benefit to 3 million individuals and business, particularly those who have suffered from unemployment and wages cut. Borrowers may extend their loan tenures by reduce the monthly repayment, or bank may provide other relief until the borrower's financial situation are more stable. Banks such as Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad have expressed their commitment to help all the borrowers, including the individuals and SMEs who are affected by COVID-19 outbreak, as the moratorium extension shows that government try to balance between supporting the needs of the affected group and the health of banks' finance, as it is important to Malaysian economy. This extension gives a chance to the borrowers who suffer from unemployment and those who experience the pay reduction to discuss with the bank about their current financial situation. In order to stabilize the consumer income as well as helping those who affected during the pandemic, government have been introduced the short-term economic recovery plan, PENJANA. This initiative have been a great help to people that affected during the pandemic to ease their financial situation. Consumer spending have been not affected as much during CMCO compared during MCO, as many people have been using an online platform to buy all the necessities during this pandemic. The extension of moratorium will help to stabilize the private consumption, as well as it will improve the current financial situation of people during the pandemic.
Thus, in conclusion, Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) must prolong the 6-month default on repayment of the loan that recently ended to avoid further mass layoff and companies from going bankrupt. Primary concern for the continuation of the moratorium and the availability of the eligibility for the compensation should be provided to people that have lost their employment and those who have still seek work. In fact, small, medium-sized enterprise in particular are faced with the acute cash flow issues due to the disrupted business, and most have barely managed to stay stable. The central bank could demonstrate headquarters by at least continuing the moratorium again for the next 3 months or until the outbreak ended, as the recovery has barely stabilized since the start of the COVID-19 disease outbreak early this year, and in the midst of indication of even in the alarming increase in the new outbreak.